I want to say welcome to the We Care Candidates Forum. We Care would like to thank everyone in attendance this evening. We're pleased at the number of attendees tonight and are thankful for so many of you are here to hear directly from the candidates. This is the only candidates forum where the candidates will engage in a healthy, moderated debate rather than delivering prepared speeches. Audience members will have the opportunity to submit questions, giving voters a greater voice in the discussion. Compare the candidates' positions side by side. Local elections have a direct impact on our daily lives. The decisions made by the next county commission will influence growth, infrastructure, traffic, taxes, public safety, and the quality of life in Martin County for the years to come. Whether you've already decided who you'll support or are still weighing your options, this forum offers a unique opportunity to see the candidates interact, defend their positions, and respond to questions from both the moderator and the public. Following the debate, candidates will remain to meet attendees, answer additional questions, and speak one-on-one with community members. We will be conducting a straw poll, and I believe that each of you saw the sample ballot. So if you don't have one, they are available out in the lobby out there, and you can mark them along and then just drop them in the box. We would greatly appreciate that. We Care Martin is dedicated to empowering the people of Martin County with truthful, impeccably sourced information to ensure we, the people, are rightfully informed regarding matters that affect all residents. It is our intent to bring clarity to any issue that may alter our quality of life now and in the future. We are committed to doing this by providing thought-provoking insight on all issues affecting our community's growth, quality of life, and sustainability, to assist in leaving Martin County's purview and legacy something future generations will be proud was rightfully protected. I'd like to thank our local sponsors. We have Crown Car Care, Integrity Auto, and 5-Star Pavers and Landscaping, and Florida Local News. So thank you to tonight's sponsors. Tonight's invocation will be given to us by Jim from Alliance Church. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Y'all prayed before. I can tell. Everyone's standing. Thank you for this opportunity this evening. Let's pray. Father, we come before you tonight, and Lord, as I've been thinking and praying myself as to how to pray, Lord, the word wisdom keeps coming to my mind over and over again. And in just hearing these words that were just spoken, Lord, about the future of our precious county, Martin County, Lord God, we pray for wisdom tonight. I pray for wisdom for all of us that live here, have a voice in electing our representatives. Lord, that we would not be bound by our own understandings and our own perspectives, but that, Lord, we would look for wisdom to the source of wisdom, which is you. Lord, I think of Solomon, a man who is known as probably the most wise king ever, who, when his father David passed away and Solomon took the reins, he had a vision from you that night where he said basically, God, I don't know how to go out and come in. I need help. And so he asked for wisdom, and you gave it to him. And he not only received wisdom, Lord, he received everything else, the fame and the fortune and the kingdom of God with your people. So, God, we ask for wisdom tonight. We ask for wisdom that comes from above, as James, the half-brother of Jesus, wrote in his epistle, who is wise and understanding among you? By his good conduct, let him show his works in the meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth. This is not the wisdom that comes down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere, and a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. Lord God, we thank you for that contrast that you give us. Earlier in his epistle, James says, if any of you lack wisdom, we're to ask of you, and you give it liberally and freely and without reproach to those who ask in faith. He says that you have not because you ask not, or you ask with the wrong motives. So, Lord, our motives tonight are to see you bless our county, bless our lives here, bless those who are in leadership, as you've told us to pray for them. And, Lord, bless each one here tonight for coming out and looking at what you would have for them to know and understand tonight. So, Lord, my prayer maybe is a little lengthy, but I thank you for this opportunity. From my heart, God, we pray this evening in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing
For the Pledge of Allegiance. You want to start the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Well, it gives me great pleasure to be up here and talking about what we're going to be doing this evening. And we are honored to have Casey Ingram serving as our moderator today. Casey is a respected community leader, known for her professionalism, fairness, and commitment to keeping residents informed about the issues that matter most in Martin County. Many of you know Casey as the host of her weekly podcast, available on YouTube, where she focuses on current issues facing Martin County residents and provides a valuable forum for community engagement and civic awareness. Her dedication to informing the public and encouraging thoughtful conversation makes her exceptionally well-suited to moderate today's event. Please join me in welcoming Casey Ingram, and thank you, Casey, for serving as our moderator today. Grab some popcorn, sit and enjoy, and here comes Casey. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Get this out of your way.
Well, thank you so much, and it's so wonderful to see everybody come out here tonight. This is what we're about, the Great Republic of the United States of America, and we are here to hear from all the Martin County Commission candidates this year. You guys, thank you so much for coming out. This is so important to meet the members of the audience, and as well as our live stream audience that are tuning in as well. So we're going to keep this just friendly and open, right, folks? And we've all got the rules before the forum here in debate. We're going to start with just opening statements, and we're going to go in alphabetical order. We're going to start, as we start the first question, the opening statements on this end, and then we'll come back this way and just alternate throughout the evening like that. So Mr. Chris Collins, candidate for Martin County Commission District 2, you're up first.
Okay, well, can everybody hear me? I feel like you can hear me. Fantastic. Sometimes I'm a little softer spoken, so I get in trouble. So first, thank you to We Care, and all of you for being here, but thank you to We Care for creating a platform. You've done this in years past, but to where we can unpack a little bit and really talk. Some of these debates can be a bit canned and too tight, so I appreciate this format of debate in the past, and I'm looking forward to tonight so we can talk a little bit more and you can get to know who we are and what our platforms are. My name is Christopher Collins. I am a husband, a father of 4 small children. My wife is in the back, and she is a trooper. I'm very blessed that I'm able to work. We have a very traditional family, and She's a full-time mom, cooks every meal. I'll give you way too much credit and put you on the spot. She's turning red. But I have 4 small children. I'm a local physician and small business owner for the last 15 years downtown. More relevant to tonight, I've been a city commissioner and mayor for the past 4 years, since 2022. And I am the only candidate in this District 2 race that hasn't worked for developers or is involved in real estate in any way. I am not taking any campaign contributions from developers, so I have no strings. I'm also the only candidate in this race that has a proven track record of actually delivering on my campaign promises over the last 4 years, which were slow growth, clean water, and low taxes. You will hear many candidates claim this platform because it happens to be what all of us like here. It's important to people in Martin County, but rarely do they deliver. We're often disappointed. I have worked tirelessly to deliver it. Over the last 4 years, we decreased the number of apartment approvals by 98%. Context to that was in the 4 years previous, our city commission approved 3,000 apartments. Many of them, my opponent was the traffic engineer that helped developers get those apartments approved. In my 4 years, we narrowed that down to 60. So that was a 98% reduction in apartment approvals. We lowered the tax rate for the first time in 10 years while upstaffing fire. And we restored sensible density codes, which I hope we get the opportunity to talk about through our zoning in progress. A lot of people have questions about what that was. But we restored sensible density codes to the city of Stuart. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Susan O'Rourke?
Does that come out of there? Can it come out? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Susan O'Rourke, also running for County Commission District 2. Thrilled to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you all for being here, and to We Care for putting this together. I have not been in elected office before, so I can't tell you the things that I have done, but I will tell you that I have a great accomplishment and my 3 sons. And my oldest son is working on his PhD in Columbia, at Columbia, Missouri, University of Missouri in genetics. My middle son is an electrical engineer in Connecticut. He just got married in September. And my youngest son graduated from the Naval Academy last year. He went into the Marines, so he went to Quantico, graduated in April. He's now serving our country in Okinawa, Japan. So my commitment to you moving forward is to be committed to the legacy of Martin County, which is clean water, protection of our ecosystems and our environment, keep our taxes low while retaining the quality of life of Martin County. But I want to bring to it my experience from having worked in the land development engineering field. I'm a traffic engineer, so ignorance doesn't make you better. So my knowledge will be an asset to Martin County. One of the first things I'd like to do is rewrite some of the language relative to the traffic impact analyses. When I went to some of the meetings and I would hear what people wanted to see in these documents, and yet it wasn't part of the language of Martin County. So that's an easy fix we can take care of. I also want to look at matching up infrastructure closer to when the impacts occur. And those are things that I'll be able to do with my engineering background. I also want to take that engineering background and look at the safety issues. I don't know if it's just being a mom and I see it on Facebook, but there seem to be a number of accidents on our roadways. And I will be looking at that and collaborating with law enforcement and engineering to work on that. I also would like to look at some of the other issues within Martin County that are kind of, a little bit we don't hear as much about, and that would be affordability, the homeless situation, and mental health, and where do we stand on those issues in our community. I think those are all quality of life issues as well. And when I say I want to come alongside and continue the legacy, I look at things like we had with our water and the great success that we've had with the Indian River Lagoon South project and some of the other major projects that take collaboration, they take civility, and they take good communication. So I look forward to serving you. I look forward to responding to some of the questions or issues that have been raised, and look forward to hearing all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Althea Wiley. She is the third and last candidate for District 2.
Good evening. Thank you for the invitation to an opportunity to be here. My name is Althea Wiley Stoudemire. I am born and raised here in Martin County, and of course I don't fit the mold of being here. But at the same time, I've been advocating for the community 15 years out in the community, advocating for the everyday people. This county has come a long ways here in Martin County, and I want to continue to keep us together and fit everyday people here. And I mean the everyday people is not just a color, it's not the red, and it's not the blue. It is the everyone, the nurses, the transportation, everyone that holds a job here that are the very fiber of this community. And I want to be the advocate for that. I've been advocating again for 15 years, boots on the ground, out in the streets. I don't care where you live, La Lobby, Palm City, Jensen Beach, Stuart, I've been there. So I'm not new to this connecting to the people, but I'm new to this seat, and I'm here to learn, because this is something, a start for all of us. Everyone starts at the beginning. There is a lot for me to learn. I'm not new to politics. At all. I mean, I'm new to politics, but I'm not new to the people. I'm not new to listening and understand the need for the everyday people. And you are the everyday people. No matter where you are in life, no matter what identity you hold or entity that you carry, you are the everyday person here. And that's my role here. Okay?
And now we have Mr. John Dial. He's a candidate for District 4.
Good evening, everybody. My name is John Dial, and I'm glad they brought you in with some popcorn, because buckle up, it's going to be entertaining and it's going to be informative. And I think for the night's over, somebody, we all probably going to need boxing gloves or running shoes, because it's going to be a pretty good night. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for your time. My name is John Dial. I'm a resident of Martin County since 1997. I think I actually moved here officially in 2000. My background is the marine industry, which is a $225 million a year industry here. I also own a company called At the Helm Training. We are the largest on-water online training company in the United States, and we work with federal and state and local agencies in the implications of all of the government requisitions and licenses. I'm a father with a co-blended family with my wife Patty, who's a nurse practitioner here in Vitas in Martin County. We have 4 children, 5 grandchildren, 2 dogs, a cat, and probably about 15 koi. But one of the things that I'd like to bring in is, no, I don't have 20 plus years of working for the government, but what I do have is 27 years of producing jobs and being accountable for budgets. In the years since I've started At the Helm Training, just as a footnote, we've created over 5,500 days of employment, which means there's 5,500 days of taxes coming into the county, which are usually spent, and I spent all day going through the budget of 2026, and I can tell you there's some interesting things in there. We've also paid out $3.1 million into paychecks into people's pockets. So instead of spending other people's money like most of the politicians are used to doing, and you can have 20 years of doing that, but I've got 27 years of producing jobs, being very accountable for my money, and I have put my money where my mouth is, in that I match $1 for $1 for anybody that contributes to my campaign. I don't have any PAC money. I don't have any of that. But what I do have is experience, and a lot of it dealing on construction projects, on real estate, as well as construction projects on boats and all kinds of marine projects, ranging from putting an island together back after a hurricane to putting together budgets here locally. I love this lady with the sign. She keeps me going over. But thank you very much. I appreciate you being here, and I hope to have the opportunity, and I don't want to ask you why you should vote for me, but I want to let you know why I want to work for you.
Now we have Ms. Sarah Hurd, last candidate that's here this evening for District 4.
Thank you very much. I'm Sarah Hurd. I've been a 37-year resident of Martin County, all of those years in Rocky Point. Our abundant natural beauty here and informed residents like you who are joining us here tonight make Martin County the most wonderful county in Florida. 24 years ago, when I first ran for office, I kept my platform very, very short, very, very focused on three of the most important issues at the time, and those were clean up our waters, which were in terrible shape, stop overdevelopment, and keep our taxes low. So you have heard from all the candidates here tonight that those are their promises, those are their goals, those are their platforms too. There's one remarkable, unassailable difference, and that is that I have a 23-year voting record that proves that I've kept my word. I'm not just going to tell you what you want to hear. You can look at my record and determine whether or not I've represented the public interests in Martin County for the last 23 years. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks. So we're going to move on to the question section. So the candidates, you're going to have approximately 90 seconds. For the rebuttal, if somebody's called out in an answer, you'll have 30 seconds to have a rebuttal. Now, folks, you probably have seen you have these cards that were handed out. So if you have a question, please write it down on the card with your name, and then we'll have you come up here and you can actually ask the candidates yourself. So I do have a card without a name. I'm going to start with that question. And if I could have Deanna Peterson, Nicole Watson, and Diane Schreiber, I think it's Schreiber, I hope I'm saying that right. If you guys could come up here and we'll ask our questions. So I'm going to start here with candidate Sarah Hurd tonight. This is the first question. How will you hold nonprofits that use county property accountable?
We do support nonprofits. Frankly, I don't know. Sorry.
Mr. Dial?
I'm glad I got that question because I deal against nonprofits and work with them both, on both sides. And good nonprofits, you can look up what their accountability is on Gold Star, I believe is the name of that. It's a website you can go on. You can see who makes the money, where it goes, and they're ranked by their honesty and by their effectiveness. But what we need to look at with all 501c3s, nonprofits, especially if we're supporting them, is what is the ROI, the return of investment on those back to the community? I know some of them that they get $800,000 to $1 million a year and they don't produce a single thing. Then there's other ones like Chapman School of Seamanship who has not gotten any federal grants that I know of, but they're producing workforce. The same with Project Lift. We have a lot of them in this community that need to be supported. And I know that sometimes I'm in these meetings and I'll see people donating $5,000, $2,000, $100, and they're all, and I'm not calling anybody out, but I think if it's a county commissioner and you're donating money to a 501c3, you should say this is from the Martin County taxpayers and not buy votes with that.
Ms. Wiley. Ms. Wiley?
Okay. Can you ask the question again, please?
I sure can. The question is, how will you hold nonprofits that use county property accountable?
How would I hold them accountable? Just to make sure that they're doing what they're doing. The nonprofits in Martin County are a great asset to the community when they're actively doing what they set out to do. We do need the nonprofits to work along with the county so that we can take care of the ones that need the help. So hold them accountable, I would just make sure that they're being accountable for that.
Thank you. Ms. O'Rourke?
Yeah, so I guess the question referred to who are using county property. So
Correct.
I'm assuming that we have some type of a lease agreement that would have terms of use, and that would be one way to hold accountable. But I agree with Althea that, you know, we have a great system of nonprofits within our community. It doesn't mean there's an endless supply of money to be provided. However, I think they are a great asset, and we continue to collaborate, and relative to property, that there should be some type of an agreement of what the expectations and use of the property would be.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Mr. Collins.
Yes, so, you know, property tax reform is going to make this very easy for your commissioners. We're going to have to look at the money that we're spending and the deals and arrangements that we have with nonprofits. The larger scale question, right? There are so many amazing nonprofits. All of us, to some extent, are touched by one or another. So you'll hear answers that are very tenuous because nobody wants to seem like they might attack nonprofits. But with property tax reform, the county is going to have to cut spending. And part of that is going to be our relationship with various nonprofits. Philosophically, so you know where I'm coming from, I believe we need a smaller government. We need to spend less money so we can keep taxes lower. That is going to be imposed on us by the state. So whether or not I think that that's an idea, it's coming from the state, we're going to have to. You need to make sure in your nonprofit agreements with leases that they are paying market rate. If we have sweetheart deals with nonprofits, it's not the best deal for the taxpayer. So whoever, whether, you know, and I won't say any names, any specific organizations, but part of that reformation of our relationship with nonprofits because of tax reform is going to come with looking at those different agreements that we have and making sure everybody's paying their fair share in market rate so taxpayers don't take on that burden.
All right. This next question is going to be from Deanna Peterson, and we're actually going to start with you, Ms. O'Rourke, because if I just go end to end, it's going to be pretty tough on our end candidates taking 2 questions in a row.
I didn't realize I'd have to get up for this, but how will you push back against Tallahassee overreach in regards to SB 180 and Live Local? Do you feel these rules violate home rule?
I do feel that there's a violation of home rule with SB 180. I think, though, that some of these rules can be avoided if we are engaging at a level with our respective state representatives and providing for the people. I mean, the reason we're getting the state's not giving us a tax referendum. The people gave us all a referendum to lower the cost of housing for them, and we've been struggling to do so. And I say we, but I'm not an elected person. But so the state's putting this referendum to reduce the property tax through the increase of the homestead. And if that comes through, yes, we will have to make tough decisions, but it's because the people want relief. You know, people who live in the community want relief, and we need to deliver on that. So relative to SB 180, we definitely need to be in communication with Tallahassee on retaining home rule, and we in the local government need to be making good decisions to support our community.
Thank you, Ms. Wiley.
Okay, I'm going to pass on that one respectfully until I learn more about it.
Okay. Mr. Dial.
You know, the defense of home rule takes some backbone and some, guts, right? And we had an opportunity to join the lawsuit with the other counties on that, and we chose not to do it, being from Martin County. I would have jumped on that because, this is all about negotiation. And I can tell you, I don't know about anybody else up here, but this is what I do for a living. I negotiate for a living on international, national, state, federal levels. And so we have to fight fire with fire. You have to go to Tallahassee. You have to get in those hallways. You have to use a lobbyist. You have to use every tool available to you, every arrow in the quiver to fight this. And the fact that we didn't join in on that, I don't know why we didn't. I think Mr. Collins said that was $10,000. I don't know if that's true or not to join into that lawsuit. But yet, how much was it? $15,000. 15? 15, 15. Okay. So, I think that you have to fight. You can't roll over. I mean, it's your money, folks. You know, I mean, all this is about you. It's not about me. So I am here for you, and I hope I earn your vote.
We have fought both in Tallahassee and in Washington in order to protect our taxpayers, in order to protect our residents. And we have been the recipients of some bad bills, some bills that have taken away home rule, that have preempted local jurisdiction. The Live Local bill is responsible for just under 900 units in District 4. And those also units, depending upon how affordable they are, pay no taxes at all until 2059. So it's a huge impact for us. SB 180 took away our ability to make our laws more strict than those of the state. And so we lost some of the protections. We had passed two new bills in order to claw back some of the protections in Western Martin County. And those were taken away, and not only were they taken away, they were made retroactive to August of 2024, and we also can't get those, pass those bills again until November of 2027. Another one that Tallahassee did just this session was changed property owned by Coulter Homes. It was land-used agriculture, which would have allowed 50 units on it. And the legislature and the governor gave them the ability to put 1,000 houses on that property with no public hearings by the Board of County Commissioners. So we really, really need to thank you.
Mr. Collins.
Yes, so this is something that I'm very proud of that we did at the city, was we joined the lawsuit to challenge SB 180 along with 20 other municipalities. That case, under much political pressure, did not get dropped. It actually is still moving forward under one particular item, but the county did not join that lawsuit. I was really disappointed that, the context would be, to Commissioner Hurd's point, the county has more recently approved resolutions to stop doing rural lifestyle, to stop going in that direction. SB 180 took the ability for that to continue to exist away. In order to fight for the Martin County difference, I feel like the average resident here would gladly have spent $15,000, especially in light of spending $15 million on Brightline. We would have happily spent $15,000 to help fight. Instead, multiple county commissioners lobbied for a glitch bill, hoping that the same body of people that almost unanimously approved this bill was somehow going to fix it. And in fact, they didn't. To everyone's not surprise, the glitch bill died. And so the city was proven vindicated. They were proven right in knowing that the only way to help challenge SB 180 was to join that lawsuit. So as it stands in the city is being protected in its restoration of codes by that lawsuit. And I'm very hopeful that that judge will rule in our favor. And ideally, the county will also be able to adopt its code changes with regard to stopping doing rural lifestyle, since none of us want that.
Okay, so with the cards, folks, if you want it to be to all candidates, just leave it like that, but you can address each candidate. I forgot to mention that earlier. If there's no candidate name on it, I'll assume it goes to all candidates. And also, if you don't want to come up here and read, that's fine as well. Just don't sign your name on the card, and I'll be more than happy to read it. So with that, our next question is from Ms. Nicole Watson. And if we're going in order, it will be Mr. John Dial.
Okay, this actually has been posed to a few of you already, but I didn't get a very good, clear answer from Sarah. I'd really like an answer this time. If you're elected, will you support the policies that protect and preserve Port Salerno commercial fishing industry and working waterfront? Or would you support replacing it with county-operated marina, public docks, and please explain your position.
Wow, I'm glad you asked that one, because I just watched all the videos about my opponent on that, where she opposes the the fishermen there. And that just totally displayed to me the lack of knowledge that she has in the marine industry, because what she wants to do is make it a public dock so people can come in and put a trawler in there and spend all winter, and they're not going to spend any money on fuel or anything else. These fishermen are in there buying fuel every day, and that fuel has a tax on it. They also put in about 2 million pounds of fresh catch fish in there a year, and they are generationally from here. She made the statement, oh, they're not from here. She didn't want to give them access to the bathroom. So if I sound a little passionate over this, I am, because I'm a boat captain, and I know how important it is to be able to pull in someplace, especially when you've been fishing all day. And I've been down to the docks, and I've talked to these guys. She made the statement that's county-owned. Well, that's challengeable because the records for that was burned in the fire in the courthouse in Palm Beach. So the county took possession of it, but they made a long-term deal with these guys who are generationally part of our culture. We have to protect that identity the same as we do for African Americans and for Native people and everything else. It's part of our culture in Port Salerno.
And I will continue to support the policies that govern the use of the Port Salerno fishing docks.
Better than your last answer, thank you.
Welcome.
Ms. Watson, did you want that for both districts? That question for both districts?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Collins.
Sorry.
Yes. So I would also echo John Dial's comments. Very well informed. There's a long history of commercial fishing there. There are long-standing deals. The culture and heritage of Salerno is commercial fishing in a working waterfront. So that's my position. That's my philosophy. I agree with that, and I wouldn't be trying to terraform Salerno into something else.
If I just say ditto, I have a long history of supporting the working waterfront and supporting Salerno, so.
Again, this is new to me because growing up, my mom just went fishing almost every day. So if there's an issue that needs to be addressed, then yes, let's address that issue. Okay. So.
Okay. All right, Ms. Diane Shriver. Hi.
I want to ask the entire group, if you don't mind. Today, out on Martin County Watchdog, was an article specific to the Salerno and the Cove Road continued building. They are expected to put in over or close to 900 units. I know Sarah mentioned that earlier. Multifamily housing, and so on and so forth. My concern is that is right in my backyard. I live here off of Salerno Road. And Salerno Road, as you probably already know, Salerno Road cannot be widened. However, we continue to put all that traffic onto Cove Road, which then builds up and then falls, it comes over into Salerno Road. I want to know why these changes have been made to the public use of the land, number one. And then secondly, where do we get involved? It's my understanding that these have all been approved. I don't recall, and I pay pretty close attention to what's going on in our community and when I can come to commissioner meetings, things like that, to oppose certain situations. These appear to me to be somewhat ghostly, that these changes have just been made and without any purpose of getting the community involved. My thought is I want to hear from all of you what you're going to do specific to the South Stuart area that will continue to keep growth at bay, and then what are we going to do about the infrastructure that we have, roads, et cetera?
Thank you. Ms. Wiley, you're up on this one.
Okay. So if I'm understanding you right, your concern is the growth of the housing that's on Salerno Road? And, okay. I understand your concern about the housing and the apartments and everything that is going up. My concern would be, where would the people come from? I mean, because we have a lot of homes or apartments coming up all over Martin County. But how do we support the growth? Where's the income coming from that people can be able to live in those apartments, in those homes, unless they're coming abroad? So I understand your concern. It also is a concern of mine also. So I would do everything I can to make sure that the residents here first can be able to afford them and have the income to support that.
And minimizing
Yes.
the amount of growth.
Yes, ma'am.
All talked about, you want to minimize growth.
Okay. All right. Mr. Dial?
Yeah, you know, we all talk about no growth and this and that. I think we need to refer to this as managed growth. And since my opponent was on the commission here, she should know all about what's going on. I'm glad you brought that up. This is all news to me. But, you know, they talk about what they've done and how they've done it. Well, you know what? Accomplishments are not a participation sport where you get a trophy for just showing up. You have to actually put one through the goalpost and make a touchdown and be part of the team that gets it done. So the fact that the team that's up, you know, sitting here now hasn't stopped anything, and you're telling me all this is going in. What my big concern is, I know it's been labeled affordable housing. What percentage of each one of those is affordable, and why don't we have regulations stating that more than 5%, 10%, or whatever it is, I don't know that magic formula, that's usually given to insiders, being that I was a captain for a couple of developers, I know how that worked. And we also did FHA projects. So there are answers to, you know, to our problems for affordable housing. And I personally have been participating in those by providing workforce housing for at least 4 people. So maybe that question can be answered by my opponent a little bit better.
Yeah, those developments that you're talking about were not approved by the Martin County Commission. We didn't change the land use. We didn't change our laws. The legislature and the governor changed our laws for us and imposed those upon us. They preempted our ability to make those decisions. So now there are going to be 900 units. They were approved administratively. We didn't ever get a public hearing to review any of them. It was all those decisions were taken away at the state level. And also, you talk about the need to create sufficient capacity on the roads. We used to have a reviewing agency in the state in Tallahassee called the Department of Community Affairs. It reviewed all comprehensive plan amendments to make sure that there was sufficient roadway capacity when you approved a new development. And if there wasn't sufficient capacity, the developer was required to pay for that new capacity or to pay a proportionate fair share of that capacity. And that's how we were able to keep up with our road needs at that time. That was done away with when Governor Scott became the governor, and we haven't had a Department of Community Affairs since then. So we haven't had a way to force developers to pay for the improvements that they need in order to make our roadways tolerable.
Mr. Callens?
You could probably talk for 15 minutes about this subject, but it's not enough to just say that the state has, you know, made us roll over. In the city of Stuart, we were taking proactive steps to, you know, it's always been cat and mouse with the state for forever. So we went into a zoning in progress and paused new development applications while we looked at our code. One of the things we did to help combat Live Local was increased our parking requirements within multifamily apartments, because any of the Live Local projects that would come online would be, you know, new apartments. We removed a lot of the density increase language that could be leveraged by these Live Local projects. The biggest issue with this is that it converts commercial and industrial zoning into apartments, meaning our kids and us will not have a place to work to be able to afford to live here, so that people can move into $3,000 a month apartments from New York and Fort Lauderdale and wherever else. So it's particularly damaging when you're talking about affordability. We can't control the price of rent and what houses cost, but we can make sure that we protect our commercial and industrial space that produces high-paying jobs. So even though the state did preempt us, this was a huge reason why the county needed to join the lawsuit. The city of Stuart has been protected. We have been able to maintain those zoning or those code changes because we are involved in that lawsuit. The county has not been able to do that and has really been ravaged by the state and Live Local as a result.
So I think there's a couple things here. One, once a situation occurs, we can't hand wring constantly. At some point, the units are coming on board, and I'm not sure I 100% agree that what the city's done protected the city from SB 180. Right now, the city is inconsistent between their land use and their land development regulations, so there's some issues going on there. But there's things that we can do within the existing code to offset the impacts, even though we couldn't prevent it. I'm not sure it was clearly stated, but with SB 180, you don't go through the public hearing process, you don't go through, the commissioners don't vote, it goes through and they compare certain regulations are in place and some are not. So it's a pretty flexible process relative to the person bringing the project in. But oftentimes that person coming in wanted to do something else, and I think that there's things we can do within our code that would provide a situation where we can offset the impacts and we can get a project, if there's zoning for a certain type of use that is compliant with the neighborhood, that can go through the process and give us something we need. If we end up in the situation we are now, we need to push again on getting the infrastructure to match so that the roadway improvements can be fast-tracked. I had been trying to work with the MPO and the FDOT to try to fast-track Cove Road improvements, for example. So that's one of the things that I can bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the next two questions, could I have Mr. Tommy Lloyd, Derek Ogden, and Janet Riley? The next three questions coming up. And while they're coming up, Susan, I have one specifically for you. Okay. Why did you enter the race at the last minute if you were really serious about running?
Did that person put a name or no? So, okay.
No.
So if I was really serious about running. So I've been attending a number of the hearings and paying attention to what was going on. And at the time, I was not aware that Commissioner Hetherington was not going to remain in the race. And so my emphasis in running was Althea also had not qualified at the time. And so for me, it seemed most un-Republican to have one person running for office. And so seeing what was happening in the city of Stuart and feeling that despite me being at a certain point in my life, that it was very necessary to get in the race so that the chaos that was ensuing in the city of Stuart would not follow to Martin County.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Tommy Lloyd. Step up to the mic.
Okay. So this question.
Can I make just one comment in rebuttal? Is that appropriate? My question would be, what chaos are you talking about? What specifically was happening in the city of Stuart that was chaotic? We spent, at least the last 2 years in particular, pushing back against development. There was a lot of contention from developers, and not everybody in our commission agreed, but I've heard this from you a few times, is chaos. There was chaos. And I've heard this from Tom Campenny in that development group, that there was chaos in the city.
Okay. So business people are not developers. When you come in to take a job, you should come in prepared to take the job. So if we need to put a moratorium in place and a zoning in progress until the new people can figure out what's going on, that created a problem for a lot of people. They couldn't get building permits for simple issues within their business. There was uncertainty. There remains uncertainty because of the inconsistency between the land use and the comp plan and which document is fulfilling the day. You can go back to, I mean, I was looking for something and I checked a number of commission hearings where you had pulled over a man and then ensued chaos at the dais,
Okay,
people
Ms.
yelling
Rourke,
at you
have to
from
wrap
the-
it up. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, the next question will be to start with Mr. Dial.
So the slow growth was the chaos. A slowing growth and putting a pause on development was the
Okay, we're
chaos.
gonna
It's only
move-
chaotic if you're developers.
All right, we're going to move on, and we can come back to that topic another time to give you guys some more time to talk about that. Now we're going to go to Mr. Dial.
Thank you all for being here. My question is to all of you. My question to all of you is, will you agree to be fully transparent and not take contributions from special interest groups who seek to change our comprehensive plan? I'm sorry.
There you go. Below deck. Perfect.
All right, so I think that was his question. That was the full question? That was the full question?
That was the full question. I was just going to also follow up with the fact that Ms. O'Rourke had said something about ignorance, which I feel like was maybe directed to us. But it's not ignorance when we're driving around and we see the increase in development resulting in the increase of traffic while we saw you standing there approving it all. So that's not ignorance.
Casey, if you don't mind, just a quick response.
Yeah, Ms.
was,
Rourke.
the ignorance was not geared towards you. I was talking about Mr. Collins saying he didn't know about certain things. So I have the knowledge is all I'm saying, and I didn't approve anything, so thank you.
Okay. Mr. Dial.
It's been so much time, you got to repeat the question. It's about
And
transparency.
he took
I think,
off
right?
with his question. I know it was.
I'm again on the Chris Collins show here. You can applaud him,
Leave
it's
your
okay.
questions with me so I can
I'm very
repeat
sorry.
them.
I'm very sorry. So the question is, will you agree to be fully transparent and not take contributions from special interest groups who seek to change our comprehensive plan?
Well, I think I'm fully transparent, and I don't take PAC money. Any of you have watched my videos. I fund myself as much as somebody else funds me. And I believe, going through the budget for 2026 today pretty, carefully, I can see where, if you read these and you want to be accountable to people, then you make it where a 3-year-old can understand it, right? And so, yes, short answer is yes, I will be transparent. No, I will not take PAC money. And yes, I will represent you in your district and all the districts, because everybody here gets to vote. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent. You all get a say-so, and we work for all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Hurd.
Yeah, in my 24 years of campaigning, I have not taken any money from any developers, except one local developer, Ralph Parks, Team Parks, because he's a local. He lives here. He's lived here for 35 years. He's a responsible developer. He supports slow growth. And therefore, yes, I have accepted campaign funds from Ralph, but that's the only one.
Mr. Collins?
Can I ask a question on that, or no? A rebuttal on that?
I mean, what's
Just
the
a quick question. What's the definition of a developer? Anybody? Is it a computer developer? Is it a development of, what is it?
Real estate developer.
Okay, thank you.
So yes, in my campaign, I'm not taking any campaign contributions from developers. And thankfully, all of our financial forms are public. So my commitment to you is, if you guys see anything on those forms, if you know something that I don't know, please let me know, and I'm happy to refund if you find that somebody is a developer or there's something. But I will not be taking any money from developers.
Ms. O'Rourke?
I will be taking money from people in the business of land development. That's my friends and where I've been. So I'm being honest with you. That doesn't change the way that I would vote. If somebody contributing to your campaign has strings, so if somebody gives to you from, say, Jupiter Island, do those people now have strings and tell you how to vote? I think that could be said for anybody on your list, but the list will be there for you all to see. I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Ms. Wiley, you have a rebuttal.
Yes, the difference would be is, residents who live in Jupiter Island and are retired don't have a financial stake in the decisions that you will be making. It is important that the 5 people that sit up there have no strings. They don't have any relationship ties to developers, and they don't have any conflicts of interest financially, both now and in the past. So I would argue that we need to get developers out of local politics as much as possible.
Say that there's a difference between a financial interest.
We didn't hear you, I'm sorry. All right, can we do just 2 claps when you guys are supporting, just so we can keep this rolling along, so we know that you're supporting, but I want to be able to hear the next candidates, and I don't want to keep you guys here to midnight, so let's face it. We want to hear from them all. Ms. O'Rourke, 30 seconds.
Oh, I was just saying that a financial interest, I don't have a financial interest of anybody in the land development community.
Ms. Wiley.
This is really funny in a sense, because when I went and posted that I was running, and I posted it that very morning at 6 o'clock, I was getting phone calls. I didn't know what in the heck was going on. I've been out here for over 15 years, and financing free from somebody telling me what I can and cannot do, and been approached several times, and I like the way that I'm doing this, and this is grassroots, because it is for the everyday people and those who have been supporting me, and I want that to continue, because it's not about any one special interest, no developer, no Jupiter Island, lobby. It's for the everyday people that I'm running for. So no, I'm not taking no money.
Okay, thank you. The next question will be with Ms. Ogden and, Ms. Hurd, but Derek Ogden, I had your card up here. I don't know what he had. Sorry, not Ms. Ogden.
How dare you?
I don't know how to get it.
All right, this is for all the candidates at risk of revenge, because I'm going to be up there next week. But what are your thoughts on the $74 million project for the new county facility that was approved, how it happened, just your general thoughts? And as a follow-up, how did you vote, or how would you vote if you were on the county commission when that came up?
First on that one. It is first.
That was for Ms. Hurd.
Okay, sure. I voted for it, and I would, if I had the opportunity to do it, I would do it again. It's one of the finest proposals that we've ever reviewed. I've certainly said no to an awful lot of developments in Martin County over the last 24 years. This was a good one. This one, the Florida Tax Watch wrote to us and said that they've been a firm supporter of the P3 process from its inception, because it saves millions of dollars of taxpayer money. It shrinks the built construction time from 36 months down to 18 months. There can be no change orders that were initiated by the developer. It takes all of the risk away from the taxpayers and puts them on the developer. We're saving $20 million by financing it for 20 years instead of 30 years. We analyzed the cost of traditional design bid build projects against these public-private partnerships, and we found that in every instance, design bid build was more expensive. So this is a good deal for the taxpayers. It's a building that we will own for in 20 years, and we're not using ad valorem taxes to pay for the bond. We're using a half-cent sales tax. So it's a good deal for the taxpayers of Martin County.
Mr. Collins.
You know, it's difficult for those of us who are outside to really know the full details, including the public, because this was not a transparent process at all. And in fact, the county went in after, and you know, one commissioner discussed having a response team for misinformation. it was not handled well. There was not a lot of transparency. Personally, as a resident, it stinks. It's not how we should do business. You should always have multiple bids. And if that happened to be the best, fantastic. But there was not the opportunity to have that competition. My instinct is if I was up there, that wouldn't have made it to the dais. If using half-cent sales tax, it should be used to purchase environmentally sensitive land. It doesn't make sense to me. That wasn't the purpose of that. That's not what we voted for. This entire thing was not done properly, in my opinion. And, you know, things will be changing soon.
Okay, so the capital improvement budget is like $1.7 billion over 10 years. It's a big number. There's a lot of buildings in there, and there's a lot of ways to pay for those buildings. And we have a staff at the county that works diligently to ensure that we're getting the lowest cost. Now, staff from Public Works has been in a number of different buildings across the various campuses that the county owns in various parts of the land. It's not something that just came up. If you went and you were part of the budget or part of the capital improvements, that's come up every year. This item has been in that budget. So that process that was selected is an allowed project. It does result in a lower cost for the people. This is not just a building. It's a building that is going to be used for emergency operations. It's going to be used for fueling. It's going to be used for the traffic operations center. And all of those details are very important. It's not something you just randomly bid. It's a very detailed, specific project that the people worked hand in hand with. So I support the process, and I support the fact that we've been telling the people who've been scraping by, they've been saving money till they could get this building built. And now we're doing this. So it's something that's been on the books for a very long time, and that land can be used for something else. It can be leased for something else. It's not like that land won't be used. So space at the airport can be used for something else, and we're pledging the tax money, not using the tax money. So everything's still available for the environmentally sensitive lands. Thank you.
Ms. Wiley?
So I saw the post that came up concerning the $7 million, the building, and I kept seeing it come up, and I was concerned. So I reached out, and I found out a little bit more about it and what that building is for. And I was told that it was a good price because what it was going to do, as Susan had said. So from my little knowledge right now, I agree with it.
And Mr. Dial?
Yeah, I mean, everybody talks about saving money, but, you know, I mean, they sold out $60 million worth of debt on us that's going to saddle us. And the guys that sold those bonds made probably about $1 million to $1.4 million on commission on that. So the fact that my opponent, who I don't know what her business background is, if she's ever had a job before working for the public, but I can tell you, building mini boats, and she made a little snide remark to me about me owning Broadbill Development. Well, my development is buying houses and putting people in them that can't afford them, and it's building boats. And that's why I asked about the definition of development. You know, if you want to make remarks, say it on camera. Say it in the microphone. Don't, you know, mention it under your breath. I've held back for a while, but I don't think I will anymore. I think it's a little more entertaining when I don't. But saddling debt on people and throwing these numbers out is not a real thing. Paying it off is a real thing. We had $90 million worth of surplus last year. Why did we not put some of that away so we could have put it down and been able to pay and not take debt on this project? I'm not disagreeing with how they, you know, with what they did and what they chose. It's how they did it and the optics of it. We should have had the opportunity to say no or say yes. So we didn't get that chance.
May I rebut, please? Sure. Yeah, first of all, there's the half-cent conservation sales tax is not going to be used to fund this. It's our half-cent sales tax, not the conservation. tax. That's not going to be touched. Also, we touched a bit on FAA. Most of this facility right now is on Witham Field, and there are between 130 and 160 employees who use that each day. And some days there are 2 restrooms there, some days there's one restroom there. And also the FAA has told us in no uncertain terms that non-aeronautical uses are no longer permitted. They are going to evict us from that site.
Thank you, Ms. Hurd.
Thank you.
Ms. Janet Riley, we're going to start with Mr. Chris Collins with your question.
Hi, thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. I love Martin County. It is my home, and it is my paradise, and that's what brings me here tonight. My question is directed towards Ms. O'Rourke regarding her ties to developers and what that could mean for Martin County. Ms. O'Rourke, you have spent 30 years as a traffic engineer paid by developers to get their projects approved. There are too many projects for me to mention here, but I'm failing to see where that's going to be an asset as a commissioner. If elected, you'll be voting on projects from the same people and companies you've worked with professionally. Will you recuse yourself from those votes, yes or no? And if not, why should residents trust your judgment on growth over the industry that's paid for your career for 3 decades? And can you name one time in your career where you advised a developer client that their project should be denied?
Okay, so I'm a traffic engineer. My role is to provide traffic analysis and compliance with local and county laws in support of an application. So if a project does not comply, we advise the applicant and they don't come forward, which is, people used to ask me, Susan, I never see you bring a project forward where your traffic study gets denied. I wouldn't submit a project that's going to get denied. They have to change the project before it comes forward so it can be consistent. So applicants are trying to be consistent. I don't get paid for someone to get approved. No one pays me to say what they want me to say. I have a code of ethics. An engineer has a code of ethics which requires you to abide by the laws, and that's what I do. So I don't believe it's a conflict because I am an ethical and moral person, and no one's going to be paying me to make a decision. And if I thought there was a conflict where somebody was going to be benefited or I was going to be benefited in some way, yes, I would recuse myself, absolutely.
Thank you. We're going to go back to Mr. Collins, and this is for everybody. And then could I have Robert Carl please come up for the next question? Mr. Collins, how do you perceive Martin County's relationship with the village of Indiantown?
Is there anything more specific? It's awfully open.
That is the question.
Indiantown Incorporated. So they're on their own unique journey now. They are within Martin County. What's hard for me to watch with Indiantown is what I would characterize as overdevelopment. As a Martin County resident, not as a potential commissioner, I have serious concerns about AI data centers. If you're wondering how I feel about AI data centers, I'm not a fan. I would not approve AI data centers, and I do not want to see that happening in Indiantown. So, I would not be able to approve or deny any projects in Indiantown, but as a Martin County resident, I do not want to see AI data centers and overdevelopment, especially if there's not potentially the infrastructure, most importantly with regard to water, to make sure that everybody can have service.
Thank you, Ms. O'Rourke.
So I think there needs to be a strong relationship between the county and Indiantown, despite the fact that they're their own entity. We want to continue to keep the lines of communication open. They are on a journey, and they have goals and objectives, and we want to make sure that what they do is not negatively impactful to Martin County, but I also think there's ways that we can support them in terms of but we've got some facilities on our roadway program, for example, State Road 710, which has become a safety issue. There's been a number of fatalities out there. So working to help prioritize some of those facilities that would improve the situation for everybody who lives out in Indiantown would be great.
Ms. Wiley?
I definitely agree. There are issues out in Indiantown, and I don't believe that Martin County should abandon them. I think we need to develop a continued relationship with Indiantown.
Okay, Mr. Dial?
Yeah, I was out in Indiantown this last weekend, and I've gone to a lot of places that say they haven't seen anybody from Martin County from their district representing them. And I've seen the abject poverty in Indiantown. I don't mean just driving through on the road, going to Lake Okeechobee. I went over on the east side of the tracks and drove around in there. And they seceded from Martin County so they could get their independence. We have to support them any way we can. They are part of Martin County. They are taxpayers. They are voters. And, you know, to overlook them and marginalize them is totally wrong, as has been done in the past, and that's why they seceded from Martin County. So, yes, we do have to support Indiantown and the residents there.
Ms. Hurd?
Yeah, I agree that we need to maintain a strong relationship with Indiantown. Their growth strategy is very, very different from Martin County's. They want to grow. They're very set on growing both residential property, industrial property, commercial property. So we need to maintain a strong relationship with them. Martin County provides sheriff protection for Indiantown. Martin County provides fire rescue protection for Indiantown. And also we were the first customers who have signed up to send all of our solid waste to Indiantown to the Cedron plant. It's one of the most innovative ways of disposing of solid waste that I've ever encountered. So we're really looking forward to being a customer of Cedron in Indiantown. Yeah, we need to maintain a strong relationship.
Thank you. Mr. Carl, you have a question? We're going to actually start with Althea because Ms. O'Rourke, you have answered a couple questions directly that went direct to you.
Thank you. I just wanted to get your stance on using taxpayer funds to build a Brightline station, and should the county be involved with the company that operates so deep in the red? Thank you.
So your question is, should the taxpayer assist in the Brightline?
What is your
correct?
stance on using taxpayer funds to build a Brightline station, and should the county be involved with a company that operates so deep in the red?
Right now, no. I don't think the county should. I don't think the county should right now take on that with Brightline.
Mr. Dial?
I've been, from the very beginning, saying no taxpayer money, whether it's a grant, as you want to call it, or our money, and you can't enter a good deal with a bad guy. And from the very beginning, it was, you know, a bad deal. $84 million putting into downtown Stuart. I've never changed my opinion on this, and nor will I. They're $2 billion in debt. They lost $224 million, and over 200 people been run over on the tracks. So in short, my answer is, as long as they want to buy it and do it themselves, I will ride Brightline myself. Maybe. It depends on whether I'm taking 4 people in the car with me or not. You know, it's a little cheaper that way. But in short, the answer is I do not support any kind of taxpayer money funding a private company, especially when it's not even American owned.
Ms. Hurd?
Yeah, I support a Brightline station in Stuart. The Department of Transportation's annual budget is $305 billion. They subsidize airlines, they subsidize trains, they subsidize mass transit, they subsidize buses, they subsidize our roads, they subsidize our bridges. We wouldn't have a transportation system in the United States without those grants, without that $305 billion that the DOT contributes each year. So I know that this year the Federal Railroad Administration will award at least $1 billion in grants to railroad projects, train projects in the United States. I know that they will. And I want Martin County to be the recipient of one of those grants rather than having that grant go to some lousy project in California or Washington or Oregon or some other place. There also is a grant from the DOT for the construction of the railroad bridge. I support that too. Those are both worthy projects. Monies are going to be spent on rail projects, and I would rather that money come to Martin County than go elsewhere.
Mr. Callens?
Yes, so bridge, I do totally agree with the bridge. We need an updated bridge. But separate from the bridge conversation would be the station. One of the other things I am the most proud of is that the city, with the help of 2 new commissioners in 2024, rescinded a terrible deal for taxpayers with Brightline. It was about to be a $30 million tab plus interest for city residents. We rescinded that deal and handed on a silver platter to the county. And this at the time was, before Commissioner Capps and Commissioner Vargas came on. But we handed on a silver platter. We said, bring us a deal where Brightline pays half as they were set to do since 2018. See, the context is in March of 2024, they sent us a letter and said, yeah, we're supposed to pay half for the last 6 years, but we don't want to pay half anymore, so change that. And the city was about to enter into that kind of a deal. We rescinded it. At this point, that looks like the smartest move that's probably ever happened. We took a lot of criticism from the chambers and pro-Brightline crowd, but Brightline appears to be tanking, along with serious traffic concerns with having Ubers and cars stacking and looping in between Stuart Middle School, Sailfish Ball Fields and Boys and Girls Club, and being about 50 cars, parking spaces deficient on that site. There are serious issues, which is why you're now, thankfully 2 years later, hearing certain county commissioners saying maybe we need to reconsider this. But,
Thank you.
I'll take credit and say the city was vindicated, and again, that was one of the things I'm the most proud of. The best places are off the beaten path.
Right,
the best places are off the beaten path.
Mr. Callens. All right, Ms. O'Rourke.
So now who's the traffic engineer? Okay, so the delivery of rail and transit, it's an expensive proposition, but it's one that's necessary in our growing infrastructure. Over time, we've got to come up with a mix of uses. The youth of today especially like to have access to the train. And so whether the private sector company is carrying the operating costs and we're paying the capital cost of the station, that's not a bad deal on the delivery of rail and transit, because if you take a look at what's in our budget today, there's a lot of stuff in there that we spend money on that doesn't deliver, that we need to take a look at and reform that and make it work for the people. As I've been walking around and talking to people, there are just a lot of people saying that they want the train and that they support the train. And so there's always a balance of interest, but on an infrastructure project, I'm going to agree with Commissioner Hurd on this. Thank you.
Casey, can I don't want to be misunderstood, because the question was that I understood was that should the county take on the debt? Is that correct? That's what I understood.
So his question was, what's your stance on using taxpayer funds, not necessarily the county, but what's your stance on taxpayer funds?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because
From everything I read was that there was going to be a grant for a certain amount, and the county was still going to put up an additional amount.
Okay.
That's the case.
15 million.
Okay. As far as their debt, no, that's their debt. But as far as the Brightline coming here, my only concern has been since day one is the residents, the high traffic area, pedestrian area for the Brightline. The Brightline's going to come through Martin County anyhow. Is downtown the right place for it? I don't agree with that. But as far as their debt, is their debt for $80 billion company. So I don't want to get my words
Okay.
mixed up.
Mr. Joe Gillio, if you could come up, we have the next question, and I'm going to go ahead with another question that was just sent in. This is to start with you, Mr. Dial. What is your position on the growing use of AI-powered flock surveillance cameras on public property, such as the ones on US 1 Canner and Bridge Road?
Public or private?
It is not, but I'm going to say public. It's not specified, but I will say public.
You know, the way the technology's going, AI is being implemented in every resource of government and local sources and companies. I don't think that you can stop people from using AI, and I don't think you can stop governments from using AI. I would assume that every one of us have used it in the last couple of days. I certainly did, to research some of the statements that have been made here. And, you know, I think one of the things that I want to kind of regress to is, you know, a lot of these politicians talk about billions and millions and all these dollars in grants. That's why our debt structure for the United States will saddle your grandchildren with insurmountable debt for generations. We have to stop talking about grant money like it's printed from the sky, because it's not. And you know, we talk about, you know, and I want to be really kind of fair to the commissioners that were here on the 74 million no bid project. Again, I do not second guess your decisions on that. I just question that we couldn't have done it a little better, because I know you guys are hardworking and trying to do everything you can, and I certainly don't want to offend any of you, even you, Ms. Hurd. I know you may not think so, but we've known each other a long time, and you know, we may not agree, but we can agree, we disagree tonight on some things, but I just want to let you guys know that I respect what you do.
Ms. Hurd?
Would you repeat the question, please?
What is your position on the growing use of AI-powered flock surveillance cameras on public property, such as the ones on US 1 Canner and Bridge Road?
I presume that you're talking about something that has to do with the Sheriff's Department?
I don't know who submitted this question.
If the sheriff is using AI in order to make Martin County safer within regulations, I think that that's okay.
Mr. Collins.
Yeah, I'll be clear about this. I would be all for canceling any flock contracts, any AI surveillance on any public land, whether it's the Sheriff's Department or anybody else. I think that our police and our fire can do their job without AI surveillance. It does not need to be on our land. This is not what we need to be doing in Martin County. There are reports, there are already reports coming in of people who are either getting traffic tickets or accused of other things, and they weren't even physically in the city at the time. So now you're fighting off some AI algorithm or external company that's been
Changing the issue to the polluted St. Lucie River. It has been around 100 years, and I've been doing research as an environmental professional to find that this new technology called nanobubble technology will in effect replace physical dredging. So my question to your candidates is this: what would your position be if currently the Corps of Engineers is working on dredging, typical standard dredging, with dredge spoil production that holds, that you have to keep it there for 20, 30 years, and it destroys the bottom, versus a newer technology that has not yet been proven in the St. Lucie River that would replace dredging, but would not disturb the bottom, would use bacteria as they do in wastewater systems to cleanse the water naturally with the bacteria eating the mud, and you'd get back down, the mud would be removed. It wouldn't be quick, it may take years, but what would your position be Would you detain the Corps of Engineers, or would you try the new technology?
Well, I know Mr. Giglio. He's a scientist and a respected professor, and this is one of his passions. And if Mr. Giglio thinks that this is a good idea, it's absolutely worth investigating. And right now, there's a Department of Environmental Protection pilot project that's occurring in Lake Okeechobee. 5 or 6 different companies are using different methods of muck removal, nanobubbles, different ways to clean up water. And it's going to be judged on how effective it is, how successful it is. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how those pilot projects progress, and any way that we can safely, effectively clean up water, I'm all for it.
Mr. Callens?
Hi, Joe. Where'd you go? So I totally would be for this. At the city of Stuart, I keep bragging about the things I'm most proud of. The other most proud of thing is that we hired an environmental attorney named Ruth Holmes, whose entire job is to spearhead these types of projects. So this is one of the things that she's doing. The company is called Moliere, and Moliere has these like barges that create these tiny little micro bubbles that will go down into the muck and introduce, as a result, bacteria that help consume the muck. One of the biggest problems that we have in the St. Lucie is legacy muck. In some places where it settles, 10, 12 feet of muck, like black mayonnaise sort of suspended there, that chokes off the ability of the bottom to really function properly and have a good ecosystem and bacterial environment. So our environmental attorney is working currently with Moliere to help secure grants for doing this through the city. I think it's an amazing opportunity for the county to partner with the city and do this kind of a thing. Often we're reactionary. There's discharges. We're angry. We're fighting. This is something that we can be doing that's proactive, that helps the river, with the goal ultimately that my kids and your kids can fish in that river and eat it and not have to worry about getting sick from Vibrio or God knows what else is in that water.
Ms. O'Rourke?
Yes, I think this type of consideration applies across the board in a lot of our different departments, that we keep up with best practices. And I think that money would be better spent, instead of hiring an attorney and creating a new department to do scientific research and retain grants, that, as Commissioner Hurd identified, that there's research and pilot projects going on right now. And so we can work with our partners and save money at the county by working with our partners, taking advantage of the research that they've prepared and implementing it. And it applies not only to the environmental and the dredging issue, but across the board in the departments. We need to keep up with best practices and learn from our community partners. Thank you.
Ms. Wiley?
To give you an effective answer, a right answer, I would prefer to just not answer that right now until I learn more about it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dial?
I would 100% support that. Using the nanotechnology and the bioorganisms to devour, for lack of a better word, or convert that sludge is something we usually, we're using now actually in diesel fuel. You get a sludge, it builds up in air. So I totally applaud that. And the gentleman that brought that up, I don't know who you are, but I hope we meet each other, because I want to know more. And you seem to be the expert in the room. Yes, sir, you. And I'd like to meet you and talk to you, because, you are absolutely the smartest guy in the room on this tonight. So thank you very much, and yes, I support that.
All right, folks, you've all been sitting here a long time. Our candidates, let's just take a really short break. Let's take maybe a 5-minute break just to stretch legs and take a breath. Ms. O'Rourke? Oh, that was a yes.
Hello? Yeah.
There
Yes.
we go.
Yes.
Of course.
No. Depends upon the candidate, doesn't it?
All right, so Ms. O'Rourke, you're next. I have a question from, actually, I don't know if, Elizabeth Earl, did you want to ask your question? I'm going to go on if you want to come up here and ask your question. Ms. O'Rourke, what do you plan to accomplish the first 100 days in office? And when I get down to you, Ms. Hurd, there's another question with this.
So the first 100 days, my thought was to focus on what I'm good at, and that is the transportation side. I think that's an area that I can really start taking action right away. I would like to go in, like I said earlier, rewrite some of the language that tightens up the regulations on transportation that will get us the delivery of infrastructure in line with any applications that were worthy of coming forward. I'd like to, it's a couple of projects that are in the works. One of them is at Monterey and Canner to improve that intersection. I lived outside of that intersection for 24 years, and I'd like to get involved with making that one really good. And I'd also, what I talked about before on the safety issue with looking at where the accidents are occurring and getting with law enforcement. So those are a few things I think I can do right out of the chute.
Thank you. Ms. Wiley?
My first 100 days in the seat will be to make sure I understand everything that is happening. I understand what is happening and whom it's happening to. I understand the budget. So my first 100 days is to study.
Perfect. Mr. Dial?
My first 100 days will be to get ramped up on this new budget that we've got coming up, and if we are going to get an ad valorem cut from our homestead exemption, to be ready for that, be proactive. The other thing is I would look at how do we stop the source of the pollution of our rivers instead of just treating the symptom. So I think we have to look at that as well, because until we're safe until we get the next big hurricane or rain, and they're going to be dumping discharges on us again. It's kind of like having a safe hurricane season like we did last year, but now this is a new season. We get the lake is low right now, but as soon as it gets up, they're going to start the discharges again, and we're going to be getting all that pollution put down on us. So that's what I would do the first 100.
Thank you, Mr. Dial. And Ms. Hurd, the question for you was, do you remember what you accomplished? They didn't say in the first 100 days, but I'd stated your first 100 days of office, if you can remember that.
Okay, I do. One of the reasons that I ran for office was because there was a crisis. Our rivers were deteriorating really, really rapidly. There was a solution that was being contemplated that we really needed to advocate for, and no one on the Board of County Commissioners was advocating for it. We needed to get strong support from the Army Corps of Engineers for them to advocate and pass the Indian River Lagoon South Plan, and the board was not supporting it. So that was one of the first things that I did at my own expense. I flew up to Washington, D.C. to meet with Army Corps generals and representatives and the President's Council on Environmental Quality and Office of Management and Budget and other people in order to make sure that we moved quickly to get the Indian River Lagoon South Plan authorized, and we were successful.
Mr. Collins.
So the first 100 days, it sounds like a long time, but it's not, especially when you have a machine as large as the county government. I would say it takes about a year or two to really start to get a sense of how things work, who's in what department, and where there's room for improvement. In some ways, it would be picking up where I've left off, my relationship with the Corps, Major Bell, with regard to water quality, but truly understanding with property tax reform looming, where there's going to be opportunity, like we talked about with nonprofits and potentially cutting spending. I'm not going to have the opportunity to have any say in the current budget that's going to be voted on, but really understanding that budget and going into that next cycle. So I would say tightening spending, understanding, maintaining relationships with regard to water, and in terms of development, making sure if projects come in front of me with upholding the urban services boundary and not expanding and doing more of that kind of thing, which has been in the past.
Thank you, Mr. Chuck Wynn. If you could come up for your question, and while he is, Ms. Wiley, the next question is for you to start with. All of these seats are for the voice of the people. How will you be able to work to make sure the county is united between these districts that are at the table tonight?
Understanding them, understanding who they are, what they stand for, and how can we work together. That's how I...
Perfect. Mr. Dial.
Yeah, I'm going to backtrack a little bit here, and that's because Commissioner Hurd was taking credit on that. And I used AI today, and I asked, was she responsible for all these programs she claims? And it's no on 2 different searches, but Maggie Urchella was on that trip to Washington. And I'm sure you remember that trip. And I do think we all need to work together. I think that if we don't work together, we're sunk in the ship. And so in quick answer, yes, we all need to work together as much as possible.
Ms. Hurd, you'll get an additional 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
Sure, I was responsible. I was the one who began advocacy for the Indian River Lagoon South. If I hadn't done it, no one was going to. And that was a $1.8 billion plan to help fix the water quality on our rivers. And yes, I spearheaded the effort to make sure that the Indian River Lagoon South Plan was approved, first by the Army Corps of Engineers, then authorized by the U.S. Congress in 2007. So yes, I was responsible.
Are you saying Maggie Urchella had nothing to do with it?
Yeah, she had a lot to do with it. But
That's
she was,
exactly.
she
You've been
wasn't,
riding
she
the
wasn't
coattails, Sarah,
she
for
wasn't in
22
office
years.
then, I was.
Okay, back to the original question, Ms. Hurd. All of these seats are for the voice of the people. How will you be able to work to make sure the county is united between these districts that are at the table?
So one of the requirements of the districts is that you live in the district that you represent, but we represent everyone at large, so there's never been a conflict for me about representing all of the residents of Martin County. And I think that we all commissioners have always felt that they represented residents countywide.
Okay, Mr. Collins.
So when you go door to door, you get a real sense of how similar we all are. We all, on the bell curve of people, 90% of us want very similar things. We're all very different in the sense that we've had different experiences, we live in different neighborhoods, we have different communities and cultures within Martin County, but people want to not have to be stuck in traffic. They don't want to have to worry about getting in car accidents because there's too many people here. They want their taxes to be low. They don't want the water to be, discharged and disgusting. We're all very similar. So collectively, with the 5 of us, I do think that the commission does a good job of representing everyone in all districts.
Thank you, and Ms. O'Rourke.
O'Rourke, yeah. It's
I know,
a
I
hard
have a
last
hard
name
time
to
with
say.
it.
It is. I think that is something in the forefront of mind. I mean, we're commissioners of the people. We talk about issues a lot of times, but really we're bringing forward what people are talking to us about. Really, at the end of the day, we're trying to lift people up and provide a quality of life that people want. So I'm a runner, so I'm out a lot running, and one of the things that's very interesting, you get a good look and you're talking to people all the time. And I should have mentioned as the part of my first 100 days, I am retired, so I have a lot of time on my hands. So I plan on spending a lot of time meeting people throughout the county.
Thank you. And Mr. Wynn, with your question. And I think that we are up to Mr. Dial.
Yes, this is for all the candidates. In the dozen or so elections that I've been around Martin County, one of the popular slogans has been, let development pay for itself. And this development is theoretically paid by impact fees to pay for the extra load on the infrastructure and the extra services that are going to be demanded by the increased population. Now, my question is for all the candidates. Do you intend to consistently vote to ensure that developers of every project pay these full impact fees for the increased development? And how would you improve concurrency in growth planning between residential development and the student load, the increased student load demands on our schools?
Boy, that's a complicated one, but there's a lot to unpack there. Can you repeat at least the highlights of that, because that's kind of a long.
Will you consistently vote to ensure that every developer for all projects pays the full impact fees to cover the increased demand on public services and the increased load on our infrastructure? And the second part is, how would you improve concurrency of planning between residential development and the projected increased student load on the schools?
In a quick answer to that, yes, I would make developers not only pay their fair share in impact fees, but Mr. Powell on Cove Road is a perfect example of this, where he has been on his 20 acres there for, many years, and developers came in and were put a sidewalk within 1 foot of his driveway, and it flooded as a result. The developer should be responsible for that, and it's been shifted over to taxpayers, and that gentleman has tried to work with them many, many times. As far as the shift of the concurrency, yes, if you're building a development that has a lot of students to it and is going to affect the school system, then that burden should be shifted in that situation to the people that are living there just as well, as the developer as well as the people that live there. Yes.
Sure, I've always supported fair impact fees. However, there are restrictions made by the state that don't allow us to recoup the amount of impact fees that the development has. So once again, we are preempted from charging the full amount of the impact for development by the state.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Yes, that is true. Even if you wanted to really increase impact fees to truly reflect the impact, you really can't. That's another reason to join that SB 180 lawsuit. But it brings up the point of why it's so important to protect agricultural land in that 1 unit per 20 acre zoning, and not try to go into developing that into Abacoa type developments, Newfield type developments, where now you have to service these people. Development never pays for itself truly. It always will end up on the backs of taxpayers to now put that fire station out there and all of those firefighters and those quints, and it is never going to be covered fully by impact fees. So it's a little bit of a rabbit trail, but I would say protecting your agricultural land, protecting that urban services boundary, and not developing outside of it ultimately is a hedge, indirectly, for not getting stuck paying the tab, taxpayers having to pay for that. And if it was possible, I would happily increase the impact fees, particularly on multifamily or these types of developments, and lower impact fees for homes. Make it easier for a young family to be able to build a home versus, you're really limited with even what you can do with impact fees.
Ms. O'Rourke?
Yes, so it's sort of an impact fee. Yes, they need to be paid, but they're going to get passed on. And so if you're saying you want multifamily to be higher than single family, you're saying you want the burden to be higher for people who are probably struggling more. So the
developer.
The money side of things is always important, how it balances out. But there's a lot involved with the concurrency part of it. On the large scale, like we have a long-range transportation plan, and one of the things that I've always noticed is relative to concurrency at that level, there's a land use plan, so the comprehensive land use plan element is supposed to be concurrent with the transportation system. We take that information on the land use plan, and then we hire a consultant who uses beaver populations, which come out of University of Florida. We have to estimate how much something's going to grow. I'm sorry, but anyway, so there could be a better tie there between the overall transportation network and the land use to make us truly concurrent before we even get into the level. But the schools already have to remain concurrent when an application comes in. They have to demonstrate that there are seats available in that area.
Ms. Wiley?
From my understanding, you want to know how will we be consistent with charging the impact fees on the developers, correct?
The question was, will you ensure that you will consistently require them to pay the full impact fee?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To your question, I didn't actually answer that, yes.
Ms. O'Rourke, are you a resident of Martin County?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Wiley, were you ever approached to drop out of this race?
Several times.
For all candidates, and I'm going to start with Ms. Hurd. Florida voters will decide a proposed constitutional amendment that could significantly reduce local property tax revenues if approved. We'll do 15 seconds on this question. Do you support or oppose the amendment?
I oppose the amendment. We're going to be really, really impacted in Martin County because we're very, very dependent upon ad valorem taxes, particularly homesteaded taxes. So it's really going to impact us. The first year, we estimate that we will lose $42 million. In year 2, the loss will be $57 million. Year 3, $170
Thank
million.
You. Mr. Collins.
It may seem unusual, but I'm actually for this. I feel like if you have to pay property taxes, at threat of losing your home, you never really own your home. And also, I can tell you firsthand, governments spend way too much of your tax dollars. So this is very much needed so we can start to cut spending and focus on essential services, police and fire, and what governments are really supposed to be doing, and not pet projects and everything else.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
So I've given a lot of thought to this, and I personally am supporting the amendment, but I've been talking about trying to bring the portion of the sales tax back to the locals. I think it's very important that we, in office, understand that the people are telling us they wanted us to do something we didn't do. We have not made life more affordable. And so if this is the hard knock we have to take to get it right, and I think there's ways we can get the state, who's forcing this upon us, to send some of the money we're sending to them, they send back to us for local control.
Repeat the question in case you
Yes, Ms. Wiley, Florida voters will decide a proposed constitutional amendment that could significantly reduce local property tax revenue if approved. Do you support or oppose the amendment?
Reduce the property tax?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to say no right now.
Okay. And Mr. Dial?
I think the voters will decide that for everyone, and the state has mandated this and brought it up to the attention because everybody's, like Mr. Collins said, and I don't mean to agree with you, but I believe that, this is at the very grassroots giving you some of your money back. So whether I personally agree with it or not, I think it's going to be up to you, the voters, to decide, as it will be on Election Day on August the 15th, on who represents you in District 4 especially.
Mr. Dial, I can't let that go. Everybody else answered a yes or no.
I'm going to say I'll vote a yes for it.
Mr. Collins, while opposing, this is just for you, while opposing virtually all new housing in Martin County, you posted a post on Facebook, I couldn't read a word here, it may be offensive post, I'm not sure, in favor of the branch, ultra-luxury gated retreat for the very rich on Bridge Road in I-95. Then why did you take the post down?
Yes, so I took the post down because of confusion around this, and I didn't want people to get the wrong idea. The nature of the video was comparing the ranch to Newfield. So for context, Newfield in West Palm City, you're looking at 4,200 doors, 10,000 people, 12,000 people. In fact, my opponent is very familiar with this project because she was the traffic engineer that helped get it approved. But 4,200 doors and 1.1 million square feet of commercial space. This is a city inside of Palm City. this is madness. So that the nature of the video was to point out the difference. I can tell you clearly, if there's any confusion, I am not for expanding the urban services boundary. I am totally against more rural lifestyle. If the confusion from the question comes from would I be looking to approve the ranch type projects, absolutely not. But the nature of the video was to compare the density and intensity of Newfield versus a project like the ranch. After that rural lifestyle had already been approved. So I would never have approved it.
Ms. O'Rourke, you have a rebuttal?
Yeah, I would just like to quickly say that I viewed the video, and it clearly was stating that the ranch was a good project, and that if we had to have growth, this would be a good way to go. It was 6,000 feet outside of the urban service district, 175 units, 2 golf courses. Now, the Newfield development was on a site that was already approved for 2.9 million square feet of industrial and about 500 units. The applicant, the Kiplinger family, went for a year, meeting all of the community people, all of the stakeholders, 3,200 acres. 2,200 acres, I believe, are held in open space and reserve. There's a working farm. There's the only location in Martin County as a receptor site for gopher tortoises. That was a community
Thank you, Ms. O'Rourke. That's 30
effort.
seconds.
10 to 12,000 people on one road. What traffic engineer in their right mind professionally
access points.
would approve 12,000 people, 1.1 million square feet on one road?
Ms. O'Rourke, do you support evening commission meetings so that the working class of Martin County would be able to attend, unlike Tuesday mornings?
I would support a discussion of it. Maybe once a month there could be an evening hearing. I think we do LPA at night, so I don't have a problem with it.
Ms. Wiley?
I don't have a problem with it.
Mr. Dial?
I would entertain whatever gets people in that room, because right now, every Tuesday morning, it's the same 15 people that are opposing something and the same 2 or 3 or 4 land planners on the other side of it. And I would also support an online forum so the county commissioners, when you can't show up, know what your thought process is on that, much like a change.org, because your vote counts, your opinion counts, and unless you're in that room on that Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock and you get 3 minutes, which is all she's giving me now, so yes, I'd do a nighttime for you folks, whatever makes it convenient, where you can show up and voice your opinion.
Ms. Hurd?
The same request has been asked of us in the past, and we did do it. We not only had night meetings, we had district meetings. We had them all over the county. And after a certain period of time, no one attended those night meetings. No one attended those district meetings that were out in the county. We also, in the Children's Services Council, just started doing night meetings, and the attendance has gone down dramatically. So I've had experience with night meetings, and they're not as well attended as the daytime meetings. You know, people like consistency too. They like to know that on Tuesday at 9 o'clock they can go to a county commission meeting and speak out.
Mr. Collins?
I think that that's reasonable, but you do have people that can't be at meetings because they work. You know, most people have to work. So any opportunity to get closer to that, like we have meetings at night at the city, so you have your 5:30 meetings. Any opportunity to get into that 5:30, 6 o'clock time frame where people can actually be involved in local government. And I'll tell you what has people show up is the nature of what's being discussed. It's not always the time. It's, you know, does it affect their neighborhood? Is the project across the street? So it's more the opportunity for people to be able to show up that wouldn't otherwise. I would totally support night meetings if that's what people want.
Fantastic. We're winding down. Ms. O'Rourke, you are very popular tonight. I don't think the one question about the where you live was pointed enough for the person. So do you have proof of residency in Martin County?
Yes, I have been very, very candid on this issue. I have been open about it, but this gentleman to my right has put a lawsuit. So I have been more open than my attorney would like me to be. So yes, I have proof. Come and knock on my door, and I think that's all you need to see.
Mr. Collins, do you have a rebuttal or no?
There were a lot of questions around whether or not at the time of qualifying, so we file our paperwork to run, and then ultimately by the 12th, we qualified. So you pay your filing fee or you got your petitions. There were a lot of questions from people to me about Mrs. O'Rourke's living situation. The main, at the time of qualifying, the main issue being the home that is on Hibiscus, one, it's not even in District 2. She'll actually have to buy another home or move to even ultimately be a commissioner in District 2. But her home that's in District 1 that's in Martin County, at the time of qualifying, she was a legal resident and homesteaded in St. Lucie County. Now, you can move from St. Lucie County to Martin County. That's totally legal, even though I would say most of us would highly frown upon that. We want people living in their district, living in Martin County, running for county commission, and not moving here from St. Lucie County. But that said, at the time of qualifying, she had not yet converted that home on Hibiscus in Martin County to her legal residence.
Mr. Collins, I have to wrap it. Thank you.
So as a result, we've challenged that candidacy, and ultimately it will be up to a judge. If a judge decides that it meets the criteria, fantastic, let's have a race, but if not, we need free and fair elections in Martin County.
Okay. Ms. Wiley, you are up next. And this is for all candidates. As a disgruntled ex-Republican, I am concerned with the growing amount of authoritarian laws coming down out of Tallahassee. Will you
what kind of law did you say?
Authoritarian, and will you go along or push back to protect local choice? Authoritarian laws.
Absolutely.
Will you push back or go along?
I'll push back.
Okay. Mr. Dial.
Not only will I push back, I'll pay my own expenses to go up there and fight for this, because you know what? We shouldn't roll over, right? And if Tallahassee wants to make decisions on us, then they should let us make decisions on them. And you do make that decision when you vote these politicians in that make these laws and things. So take your capital or your state back, take your county back, take your government back. It's your choice, and it's one that you have to make.
I will continue to push back, but also be aware that the commissioners that you have now are all very, very active in Tallahassee politics. We follow those bills very, very carefully. We're part of the Florida Association of Counties. We evaluate the bills and we advocate for or against them, and we're not shy about it.
Mr. Collins?
So, I mean, clearly with my record, I'm all for pushing back. I do think there's room for nuance in this conversation, is you don't want to be constantly fighting Tallahassee. You have to pick your battles. So with SB 102 and Live Local Act, the city and other municipalities took no action. There were multiple rounds of Live Local. But, you know, it got to a point with SB 180 where many municipalities, including the city, were not able to even make any code changes without potentially being sued. So that is not an opportunity, that is an appropriate moment, along with the lawsuit already taking place, to do something proactive. So you don't want to be biting the hand that feeds you, in the sense that, you know, Tallahassee does bring in appropriations for stormwater and drainage, and you don't want to be fighting the state unnecessarily. It's not a good look, especially with property tax reform, because, you know, the city of Stuart, Martin County is more rural. We're probably going to be having our hand out unless we can find some other way through sales tax, you know, to get our appropriations to keep the lights on, and our fire department showing up. But there are moments like the SB 180 lawsuit where you have to fight for Martin County, so you don't lose the Martin County difference. You have to fight, and that's why we did.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Ms. O'Rourke?
Yes, I would continue I would push back on the loss of home rule and the authoritarian legislation that's coming down from the state. But I do think you have to continue as to participate in the process and establish what your goals are clearly and work with your legislators as a proactive move.
Thank you. Mr. Dial, we'll go to you now. This is for all candidates. Residents continue to express concerns about homelessness. What role should county government play in addressing homelessness, and what specific policies would you support to improve both public safety and long-term outcomes?
Well, it's funny you said that. I was just, last weekend, we were filming some stuff down in the park, down Memorial Park, downtown Stuart. Started pouring down rain, and we ran into the shelter, and there were two people that were there. And very articulate lady, and she was talking to me. She said, I've been living outside for 18 years, right? So that kind of drove it home to me that there is a need. Then I went to La Haya, and I've gone to some of the other nonprofits, Rena's House, that helps get people on their feet. So I think as the county, we have to work with our law enforcement to be compassionate but effective to get people into shelters. So there's and I'm glad, I think our vice mayor is here. There is a proposal right now for a approval for a housing for homeless people in transition in Stuart. And I think that needs to be addressed to push it along. I know you're compassionate, and I know Mr. Collins was when he was the mayor, was compassionate. But I think as a county, we have to address this in a compassionate and logical way.
Ms. Hurd?
Yeah, we partner every year with state and federal governments in order to address homelessness. We also support our veterans program. We have a veterans program inside the admin building supporting veterans, and particularly homeless veterans. We also partner with Habitat for Humanity every opportunity that we can find. And we also have done a lot of evaluating of land trusts. There are some very successful land trusts throughout the country, and hopefully we will one day figure out a strategy that will work for Martin County too.
Thank you. Mr. Collins?
It's a difficult conversation because there's almost nothing you can say technically and legislatively or policy-wise that won't come across as cold or callous, because people are suffering. There's people that are living in their cars, people that are living in the woods. There's parts of the city of Stuart where people are living in the woods, that there's drug and alcohol issues. It's awful. It's some of the saddest things that you could see. But at the same time, the state does preempt homeless, unhoused people from sleeping or staying on public land. And generally, you want to avoid having taxpayers overall subsidize, this type of thing. So it's simultaneously brutal for people in our community to be suffering with, but you also have to be responsible with taxpayer dollars and really lean on churches, nonprofits, and the community at large to deal with this more than I would say the government.
Ms. O'Rourke?
Yeah, so I think it's a complex issue, but it's one that we can't overlook because of its complexity. If we can have a skateboard park in East Stuart, we can do a little bit better than that. So I think the first thing is kind of establishing what we have. Where are we with the homeless situation? Are these people who've grown up here? They're people moving here because of the environment. So I think there needs to be some baseline action established, and then we need to work with our partners. This is one where our nonprofits can be very helpful to us. We have the Tent City Helpers, we have Habitat for Humanity, we have House of Hope. House of Hope has worked on a number of different programs and at all levels of entry into the housing market and where people are. So again, our church partners, there's a place to eat every night in Martin County, and then there's our food bank. So we're providing services to people, and we just haven't quite made that connection of how do we get people from being unhoused to housed. We just lost $7.5 million in the governor's veto that was going to go to our jail for a mental health pod. So that's, you know, the police are having to move people out because that is the rule, but the police have a tough job because they've got to be good cop, bad cop, and now they're taking care of this issue, and so God bless them, and we need to do our part to put it all together.
Ms. Wiley.
You know, I'm sitting here right now because of, you know, we talk about the homeless community as though it's taboo, you know, and we don't even understand that we're in here, we could be one issue, one situation, one choice away from being homeless. Mm-hmm. And the way we're sitting here talking about the homeless community, you know, you wouldn't believe how close people are to becoming homeless. And I know Martin County has this image of wanting to keep the prestige image, but at the same time, with homelessness, the mental illness that comes along with that we face every day. I'm going to include myself in that because you wouldn't know that I myself has one day been homeless. So that's one of the reasons I sat here. The last meeting I went to was seeing a young man at the podium, and he's been there every week asking just to be on the agenda. So what we ignore, we're going to create a bigger problem here in Martin County.
Thank you for that. All right, folks, I just got a couple more questions here, and then we're going to let the candidates do their closing statements so you guys have time to actually go and visit with them and ask them questions here before we have to close out at the IRSC Center. I have a group question, two group questions, and Ms. O'Rourke, this is going to be the final question for you individually. They want to know if somebody recruited you to run after Mr. Cass dropped out of the race, and also, when did you become a Martin County resident?
Okay, whoever asked that question obviously doesn't know me. I am a single mother of 3 children. I've owned a business. I started a business when I was 26 years old. I sold that business and moved to Martin County in 2001. If you're not clear on that, my children went to school. My youngest son was born at Martin Memorial. I have participated in every aspect of community life. I live in Martin County. And I think it's a waste of everybody's time. How much time and money? A lot of money, a lot of time. And I think that's on purpose to keep me from speaking to people, acknowledging people, talking to the issues. So that, I was not recruited to run. I sat here and I watched this man to my right, and the kind of antics that have been put on display, the filming of my house, another man in this room filming the house.
I did not film your house. Let's be clear.
Okay, so somebody else filmed the house and you posted it on your Facebook page.
Which was
and said,
vacant.
"Look at
It
this."
was vacant at the time.
It was not vacant.
Yes,
I had already gotten my mail, and then the mailbox was open.
The day after that video, because
I
it was
moved
vacant.
stuff into that house every single
As all the
day.
neighbors on that street.
Every single day I moved stuff into that house. But that's the real shenanigans.
Thank you, Ms. O'Rourke. So this question, I'm going to start with you, Ms. Hurd. We're back to you. I'm not real clear with it, so I'll let you take it as it is if you can answer it. What is your number one disagreement with the people of the county? Why? And why would you oppose them? And what's the benefit?
I don't understand the question.
I didn't either. I just wanted to throw it out there, somebody's question, so they can clarify it. Does anybody have an answer for that? It is a confusing question. All right, final question. I'm going to go back to you, Ms. Hurd. What changes do you feel need to be made with the budget?
Well, it depends upon if you're talking about the referendum changes. I can tell you that from our analysis that about half of our budget is based on ad valorem. And of every dollar that we spend of ad valorem, 65% of every dollar is spent on public safety. That's the sheriff and fire rescue. So if this, because we are so heavily dependent upon ad valorem, particularly homesteaded ad valorem taxes, if the referendum is approved, in the first year we will lose $42 million. In the second year, $57 million. In the third year, $170 million. So in the third year, we would, if we didn't pay anything else, we pay nothing else. We just pay for public safety. We just pay for the sheriff, and we just pay for fire rescue. We still wouldn't have enough money to pay them. We'd be $45 billion short, and we would be paying nothing else in the county.
Thank you, Ms. Hurd. Mr. Collins?
So more than saying what I would cut, it's what is essential in the government in terms of services. You need to make sure that the sewer works, right, that the trash is picked up, and in particular that public safety is functioning at an appropriate level. So police and fire are properly staffed, trucks are properly staffed, and God forbid any of us has an emergency, and the people are there to show up and take care of you and your mother, your father. So it is making sure that public safety is able to function properly with what they need and the staff they need. And then there are other things that the government does that are less essential. Those are going to be what's looked at in terms of both staff and, like we mentioned, nonprofit relationships and spending otherwise. But you need to make sure capital improvement also happens, right? We need roads and sidewalks, and you don't want potholes. But there are many non-essential functions that the government is tied up in that need to be looked at.
Ms. O'Rourke?
So right now, our budget's about $750 million every year. I would look at some of the things that aren't so, glamorous, but you're talking about how you would evaluate the budget, I think, in two different scenarios. If we have the homestead pass, then I think we have to move very, very quickly, because I share the same concerns that Commissioner Hurd has, that we don't want to be in a situation where, despite people saying, they want us to cut taxes, they want lower taxes, I always preface that with, and still afford the quality of life we are used to. And when you look at that, where are the things that you can cut, there's always going to be people attached to that, and people who live here and people who are needing something, whether it's beach restoration, hundreds of millions, the water quality projects. We have to partner, we have to match funds. So all those things are really important. And but I was going to say some of the things that, like life cycle, if we keep a truck for 7 years, but we keep it for 8. If we do some type of maintenance or something, so where people it wouldn't affect their quality of life. And there are things we can do that, if anybody's been in an HOA, that's something that gets done on occasion to balance budgets. So I think that's a way we can look. But if the referendum comes through, it's, pedal to the metal. We got to function quick. We've got to deal with the state because they're going to need to give us money back. So,
Ms. Wiley?
Okay. I've been criticized a lot sitting in this seat, or trying to sit in the seat, about financial responsibility. And for me, until I get in the seat and actually see, I don't see it any different from a household budget. And if you can't manage $7.50, you need more or you need less. So I have to get in there and learn exactly what are the essentials to actually be effective. I do know that because I've had lived experience of not running a household, not running a budget correctly, and what happens when you don't. So that's why I said the first 100 days, I'm here to learn.
Mr. Dial?
Yeah, we're all singing the sky's falling, the sky's falling. How many people in here were around in 2008 to 2010, which was arguably one of the biggest downturns short of the Great Depression we've ever seen? We survived it. We've tightened our belts. And to the credit of the firefighters, I know we all bring them up, those guys have put their contract on pause until they see what's going on here. So you have to recognize the people in the county, the first responders, everybody's going to feel this. They all know it's coming, and they are all willing to work with us. So we're not going to lose the essentials. The sky's not going to fall. We're America. We adjust. We adapt. My 98-year-old friend, Fred, I sat back and talked to him, and he's been through World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, And, you know, all of these things he's been through, and he looks at me and says, y'all got it made. And, you know, he's about right. You know, I mean, we're going to survive it. So I don't think we should get upset before something happens and, yeah, we're going to lose some money and we're going to have to adjust to it. But if you worry about something, you suffer twice. You just deal with it when it comes in front of you. And that's how it works when you're a boat captain. You plot your course and you stay with it. Thank you for that applause, whoever it was.
All right, this is what everybody's kind of waiting for now. This has been such a wonderful evening to all the candidates. I really appreciate you coming out here. You're being on the hot seat. You don't know what question's coming out, and it's from the people. It's from who you work for. So first of all, they're going to do their closing statements, but first let's just give them a round of applause for coming out here tonight. And for closing statements, we're going to do the reverse order. So I'm going to start with you, Ms. Hurd. 2 minutes.
Okay, let me just highlight some of the wonderful projects that have been begun. They were started with Indian River Lagoon South, which was authorized into Congress in 2007. Since that time, the state and federal governments have invested about $1.5 billion in Martin County, acquiring properties and building projects to improve our water quality. They include 9,000 acres of reservoirs, 10,000 acres of stormwater treatment areas, and those are wonderful, essential projects, but they are engineering repairs. The next parts of the Indian River Lagoon South will include natural lands, and Martin County has been very generous in the last 3 decades. We've passed 3 successful referenda to buy conservation lands, so Martin County likes to lead by example, and we have. We just had another conservation tax referendum pass 2 years ago, which will enable us to partner with state and federal partners to acquire more natural lands. The goal of Everglades restoration is not engineering repair, it's ecologic environmental restoration. And the last project is muck removal, or getting the muck out of the water. And we are well on our way toward doing that also. So we've made a lot of progress. Also, 2 years ago, we passed the new Lake Okeechobee System Operating Manual, which dictates how water is discharged from Lake Okeechobee. And under the new regulating schedule, the Army Corps assures us that except under extreme emergency conditions, there will be no more discharges from Lake Okeechobee into our estuaries. So our water quality is not going to improve it's improving. It won't be clean, but I promise you that it will be done because Congress authorized this project, and the only body that can deauthorize it is Congress, and that will never happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dial.
I'd like to thank all you folks for staying in here with us this long and listen to us, you know, because you're hearing a lot of politically practiced rhetoric that's been said over and over and over again. And I think we can all agree that Dan Marino was probably a great quarterback, but he never won a Super Bowl. And so I go by that statement, but the same thing about people being in office forever. And, you know, you can talk about water quality being better, but you know what? AI that too. It's not better now than it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's not going to get better. And those discharges are going to be resumed as soon as we get too much water in the lake. There's nowhere else for it to go. I agree with my opponent here that, you know, it is a long, long process to clean it up, because we've been polluting it for 75 years. But again, we have to address the source. And I think I want to thank everyone, especially the third candidate, John Kazanjian, I think his name is, which I think is a Doug Smith write-in to be a spoiler, because he hadn't shown up, he hadn't done anything. Well played, Commissioner Hurd. And Mr. Collins, I look forward to sparring with you on the commission, because you are a worthy opponent. So if you're successful, buckle in, buddy. Me and you're going to probably see each other again. And, you know, I deal with results, and, you know, I guess, you know, Commissioner Hurd, I heard that you weren't going to be here, play on words. But in the, you know, the words of Tombstone, you know, I didn't think you had it in you to show up, but I'm your huckleberry.
Ms. Wiley.
Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak with you all. And I did prepare a little something because I am new to this, and I'm not ashamed of that. But sitting here listening, I realized something. These issues that have been addressed that matter most to people who already don't have to worry about the everyday people people face every single day. You all are stable. You're making incomes. And we up here, for some, we have the look and the vocal and the talk of what you're used to. I may not fit in the image of what a politician is supposed to look like, and I want to say that's awesome. I understand that. But here where the disconnect is with the everyday people. I'm sorry. You have a focus and connection that true affordable housing to the unhoused crisis, too slow responsibility of the growth, things everyday people are living right now that you don't even have to worry about. And here's what I need you to understand. When we don't tackle homelessness and housing crisis head on, when we don't just leave one problem unsolved, we create others. The mental stress of not knowing where you're going to sleep, how you're going to make it, make your rent, make your mortgage payment. That's a disconnect. That causes another situation, which compounds everything. And I had to ask myself these past couple of weeks, why did I come to this table? Why did what we call jump off the porch into this? You know? And what I'm coming to realize and what I come to understand is for the people. And I've told my colleagues here, we've come too far in Martin County. We've come too far. And I don't want to have this county be divided from the inside, and the inside of who we are as a community, Chris. Who we are as a community. We've come too far, and I refuse to let division, chaos, rhetoric divide us. So
Okay,
I
Ms.
sit
Wiley,
here
I'm sorry, you've got to wrap
for
it
the
up.
everyday people.
I'm going to applaud you on that.
Ms. O'Rourke.
Yes, thank you all, and I've appreciated the questions. There will be a house for sale if you have all seen it, so I'm just kidding. I look forward to being your county commissioner. I bring a level-head approach to everyday problems. I am happy that I have journeyed through life and gotten to the point that I am, and I do want to bring the other people in Martin County. If people are struggling, I want to know who they are, and I want to be part of that solution. I think Commissioner Hurd's got the water nailed. You know, I'm happy to come alongside her and support those issues. It's a very complex ecosystem, and it requires a communication among a web of people. Just like the water's flowing, we've got to work together. Many agencies that we've got to continue to collaborate with. So I want to bring my expertise in transportation and hit the ground running on working on some of the problems that we've discussed today. And I will continue to, as I said, work with the issue of the unhoused. I am on the board of Habitat for Humanity. I'm on the committee with House of Hope, and I've served in a number of the kitchens. So it's an important issue to me, and I have the time to deal with it. And I hope I've addressed your concerns. And I hope that the people who are asking me about where I live truly have the best interest of Martin County and understand what it means to live somewhere and what you invest in your community. I have demonstrated that investment in Martin County, and I look forward to serving you.
Mr. Collins.
Yes. So as you've heard tonight, and thank you all for being here all the way to the end, it shows how much we care about our home, that you would all sit here and listen to us and our ideas. But there are many threats coming at us now and in the future over the next 4 years, from land speculation, land use changes, protecting your agricultural land, AI data centers, property tax reform, the state trying to erode our ability to even have 4 stories. That didn't come up tonight, but that's the latest thing. There are going to be constant threats to what we all hold dear and why we live here, why we moved here, why we want to raise our families here. And it is going to take somebody with backbone that can stand up for you when it's difficult. Like it has been said, everybody will say there's slow growth and clean water and low taxes, but rarely does somebody get in one of these seats and deliver. And I have delivered. Over the last 4 years, I have worked hard for you, and I am not retired. I don't have the time. I'm blessed to have a wife that works full-time, cooking every meal, homeschooling our kids so that I can work and fight for you. I am blessed to have that opportunity, and I would be honored to be hired by you to continue to do that for the next 4 years because those threats are so real, because there is so much coming at us, and I am really terrified of the prospect of having a rubber stamp in that seat. You're going to need somebody who has your back when it counts. So I would be honored to be hired by you for this District 2 seat as somebody who lives in that district with my wife and kids in our home for the last 9 or 10 years. So thank you.
Okay, folks, we just got to do one more thing, and that's to thank We Care Martin, and Ms. Gail Goldie is going to give us some closing remarks here. But We Care Martin, thank you for having me as your moderator again and for giving us the opportunity to speak with the candidates.
Hey, real quick, great job, Casey. Can we all give a round of applause to Casey? Come on, this is not easy. Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming and participating. I'd like to thank our volunteers, Drew Simone, and I want to tell you that Drew Simone put our wonderful PowerPoint presentation together. She put the decorations out. She is a true patriot, and we thank her. We can't thank her enough for her participation. Laura Giobbe, Alex Cromwell, Krista Cromwell, Sherry Way, our timekeeper, and Nick Galata. I want to also thank the IRSC maintenance staff that let us in, helped us put the tables, chairs, and everything here. So again, I hope you all enjoyed it. We're happy that you came, and you can look for another We Care blog if you go to wecare.org, and you can read all about this participated forum. Thank you. Don't forget, if you're a city resident or would just like to know what's going on in the city, there will be another forum very similar to this at the Flagler Center on July 14th.